Hello everybody, welcome to Cooking with me, Micah. Hi. Okay, so today we're gonna be cooking some eggs and ham. It's a very simple dish that's great for really any time of the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It works, it gets the job done, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. So here's what you need. You need a bowl. We don't have any clean bowls. I need to wash one. Gosh darn it. Check the dishwasher. These clean. And whatever, I think it's clean. Bowl. Fork. Spatula. Frying pan. This will depend on how many eggs you're cooking. I'll talk about that in just a sec, like the size of this. So let's talk about that. Okay, so here we have a bunch of eggs, and depending on how many people you're planning on feeding, or just like all that, basically how many are you wanting to make, that'll vary. So, let's say for one person, if it's just like one person, usually I would do like 2 or 3 eggs. If you're doing like 2 people, like 4 or 5 eggs, maybe even 6. Yeah, like six eggs, that's fine. For like 3 people or more, just use like a lot of eggs. I don't know, you can kind of do the math from there. Usually I eat like 3 eggs. I'm a teenage boy, so like I eat a lot. So take that as you will. Anyways, we're gonna be using 3 eggs, and we will be cracking them in this little bowl. But before we do, we need the ham. Ham. I usually use like deli meat. It worked good. All right, now we're going to be talking about kind of how to do this. So first, we are going to start off with our eggs. So I'm going to use 3 eggs in this, and what we're going to want to do with them is we are going to crack them individually. So what you do is you get your egg, you kind of hit it like right there until you have a little crack right there, and then with 2 fingers, you're just going to like press in and open it like that. And you want to be really careful not to get any like bits of eggs in there, because that will be in your thing. So be careful with that. You don't want to get eggs in your thing, because that would be gross. So again, going to be doing this however many times, you like however many eggs you're doing. So 3 eggs. And then we dispose of them. In the trash can. Something like that. I don't know what you do with your eggshells. I don't know. Okay. Gonna rinse my hands off a little bit right there. Get all the egg yolk off of them. And now we are going to mix the eggs with the fork. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You could either use one of these nice and fancy little mixer machines, or like one of those just like whisks, I guess. But my whisk is very much broken, so we're using a fork. But if you have like a whisk or something, then that's probably better than what I'm doing, so you should probably use that to mix the eggs. But basically, here's what you want to do. All right, so you got your eggs in the bowl. Okay, I need to put the camera up. All right, so we have our eggs here, and as you can see, they're in there, kind of just floating around. And what we want to do is we want to just kind of mix them until they kind of are like all mixed together. So you're gonna just kind of see like I'm gonna show you. All right, so we got our eggs here, and we're basically just gonna like mix them up like this. kind of use the fork and you kind of just go whoop-de-doo. Or if you're using a whisk, you can just kind of stir it. Okay, just mix it however you want, but what you want to work towards is your result is basically going to be like a kind of light yellow like paste where you don't have any of like you can have a little bit, but overall you don't really want these clear patches much. I don't want to keep going until there's not really any of that. And that's when you know it's pretty good. Like you see like these darker parts of the yellow, kind of want to mix that up a bit more until we got that nice light yellow. So we're just gonna kind of do that. You can also like rotate the bowl while you're doing this, so kind of like get it mixed up on all parts. I need 2 hands to do that, and I'm using 1 hand to hold the camera, so it doesn't work really very well here. So this will probably take like 5 minutes at most, not too long. So time lapse. Eventually we get to a point where it kind of looks like this, so obviously there's still a bit of clear bits, but it's mostly just bubbles and stuff, and it's not too much. And it's all pretty nice and light yellow now, so this is the result we want. So once we have this, it's time to cut up the ham. But before we cut up the ham, we're gonna turn on the stove. Be careful when you're turning on a stove. If you're like kind of underage, then please know what you're doing. Do not do this at home without like an adult or something. I mean, I know what I'm doing, but even then, my dad's just like over in the other room, so please be careful and know what you're doing. So depending on what kind of stove you have, you're just gonna kind of put that to medium for now. Whatever, yeah, stuff like that. And now we're gonna cut up our ham. But before we cut up our ham, we're gonna put the pan on the stove so it's warm. Now we're gonna cut up the ham. All right, now we have cutting board. This one's kind of weird. Anyways, we are going to get a very cool invention called knife. Now, be careful how you're handling this. Again, if you're like kind of a younger age, then be careful with this. Do not do this without like parent supervision. Do not try this at home. So yeah, always point it away from you. Basic knife stuff. So we're gonna put that over there for just a sec. We're gonna grab, depending on how many eggs we did, for my 3 eggs, I would usually go with about as many slices of ham, but that also just kind of depends on how meaty you like your eggs and ham. If you don't like them as meaty, then just go with like 2. I'm gonna go with 3 though. So 3 pieces of ham, we're just gonna lay them on top of each other all like that. And now we are going to kind of just cut them in like little segments. Now you can kind of cut them really however you want, but this is just kind of nice so that I have like little bits of ham, and I kind of like it doing it like this, because then you just kind of have like all these little bits of ham instead of just all these globs of ham, which you can do, but this also makes it easier to cook, and overall takes less time to cook when you do it like this. So I just kind of cut it up in like a little grid pattern right here and get all these tiny little squares of ham. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, because it's just food. It's not going to be looking beautiful. But basically, now we have a bunch of little bits of ham, and we are just going to leave that there for a sec. And now we're going to go over to the stove. Wow, the stove. Wow. All right, so there's a bit of smoke right there, whatever. So it signifies that our pan is pretty warm now, so we can start putting the eggs on it. So we're gonna start with the eggs and put the eggs on the pot, or pan, that thing. All right, so we have our pan. We're gonna get our eggs, and we're just gonna pour them on right here. And you should hear like a nice little sizzling sound when you put them on there. That's good. If it's not sizzling, then it probably isn't too warm yet, which isn't bad. You just gotta let it warm up a little more. And then we're gonna grab our ham, and we're just gonna put it in there. It's going in. All the ham. It's going in. Yippee. All right. Now that we have our ham in the pan, I keep calling it a pot, I don't know why. We're gonna use the spatula from earlier. And we're going to start moving it just all around. And as you do this, it'll start looking a bit more flaky in there. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so as we kind of move this around, it's going to get like a little bit of this like flaky kind of texture. that's good. That means it's cooking good. And kind of like, just kind of want to like move it around, kind of flip it over, get it all nice and cooked. Don't just leave it in the same spot. You kind of just gotta move it all around a bunch. Like, see all this, but it looks a little weird on the bottom, so we're just gonna flip it around right there, get the bottom cooked. We're just gonna keep repeating this process until they don't look very juicy anymore, or just basically a bit more normal. I mean, like, they look like scrambled eggs. So at like this point, they're pretty good actually, but I like them a little less juicy, so we're just gonna kind of keep moving them around, flip them over. Eventually, at this point, they'll get pretty hot, and I think they are looking pretty good now. So, you know, it depends on what you like. Again, you can just kind of try it first time, see if you kind of like it. And then after you have this pretty much done, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn the stove off. That's already off, that one. You're gonna turn it off, move the pan off of that burner, and now we're gonna get a really awesome invention called plate. Let's see what I mean. Hold on. I think I need to check the dishwasher again. Plate, and we're gonna grab a plate, put it right there, and this is what we're gonna do next. Okay, now that we have our plate right here, we are going to grab our pan and carefully move the eggs onto the plate. And voila, you have some nice and toasty scrambled eggs and ham. And that's really it. So, a few notes really quick that I will talk about are that you can also add milk when you're mixing the eggs to make the eggs a bit more fluffy if you kind of like that. So a trick I learned from my mom. And you can also add like salt and pepper if you kind of want it to be a bit more spiced. Overall, just kind of like some little adjustments that you can make. So leave the pan on the stove, let it cool off, put the spatula in the sink or something. I don't know what do you do with your spatula, but we got the eggs and ham, and now you can eat it. So good job. You're bye. How to use a fork. Step 1. Use the fork. Grab stuff with the fork. You don't want to scoop under it. That's for spoons. We want to stab into it and pick it up. And that is how you use a fork. Oh, that's hot. Okay.